Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. Well, the oldest international continental tournament in football, the Copa America, continued at the weekend. Let's get a quick catch-up on the results. All right, let's see the results. We had a 0-0 draw between Peru and Chile. Venezuela overcoming Ecuador 2-1. Mexico that 1-0 win against Jamaica. On Sunday, USA beating Bolivia 2-0 and Uruguay a 3-1 win over Panama. Well, it was a Gerardo Arteaga strike in the 69th minute that was the difference between the Ale-Tree and the Reggae Boyz on Saturday in what was a tense all-CONCACAF affair. Reggae Boyz head coach Jaime Grimson says despite the loss, he's still proud of his troops.
Overall, quite happy with the game. Defensively, especially tactically, well executed from the boys. We still need to protect the ball better when we have it, and that is something that slowly we will improve. But yeah, overall, quite happy with how the game played out. Of course, unhappy with the losing, but these games, big games like this against a tough opponents with all the supporters with them, will only help us grow.
He also explained the decision not to start regular captain Damian Lowe.
Well, the decision was made because it was a family crisis and he needed to go the last 2 days prior to the match, so he didn't participate in our preparation for this match, so we kept him on the bench to begin with. Is of course we're missing a little bit Steele in midfield, but I think Bobby Reid came in midfield and did a marvelous job. We kept the ball better than we have often done, at least. So I think it was a good change. It was also a surprise probably to the Mexicans that we played like this, different from our formation from before. And it was, I think, like I said, overall the players, I give them credit for this game. It was a lot of positives, even though we are all disappointed and it's a very silent dressing room. I think we can take a lot from this match and build on that going forward in the tournament.
All right, well, joining us this afternoon to recap the matchup is our SportsMax football analyst, Leger Williams. Liz, welcome to the set.
Yeah, thank you, as always.
Yeah, so let me start by asking you the result, 1-0. Do you think it's a true assessment or a true reflection of what we saw from both teams?
Is it a true reflection? No, because I think Mexico probably should have scored more goals. I just think that I'm just going to put it out there from early. So when I speak about the Jamaican performance, it can be, it have more context. I think this is the worst Mexico team that I have ever seen, play at any sort of tournament. They've selected 20 players from their national league, Liga MX, and, it's been said even in Mexican media as well that, there's a lot of pressure on their coach to deliver results, and if he doesn't deliver those results, then, he'll be getting the sack after this tournament. So it's not a high-quality squad, and that was shown in the game on Saturday. So they should have done better, but I'm not surprised that they didn't.
Yeah, the closest thing that I saw to Jamaica getting a goal, Mikel Antonio, somebody that you talk a lot about on this SportsMax Zone. His goal was ruled offside. Disappointing because I felt as if when we got so close, the team would have, felt that sort of confidence, optimism, and there would have been more goals where that one was about to come from. That didn't happen. One, talk to me about the offside, and because coach said if it's up to him, we had no VAR anymore because of what happened. And two, the fact that, the chances started to become less.
Well, you made two very good points there, Maria. First of all, I do talk about Antonio a lot, and I would like to say that he actually had a pretty decent game. He imposed himself on the Mexican defense well and held up the ball pretty well as well. So I don't have any issues with his performance in particular, but something that you said was after that offside goal when Jamaica scored, you would have assumed that they would have started to create more chances and take the game by the scruff of the neck, and that wasn't the case. And I think a big reason why that didn't happen was down to Coach Hal Grimson. Cesc Fabregas, when analyzing the Euros, this edition of the Euros, said something about how coaches make their substitutions and how it impacts the psyche of teams. And if you're going to make negative substitutions, in this case, bringing on a Damian Lowe, I'm not going to criticize too much the substitution of Deshaun Bernard. Maybe he wasn't fit enough to continue the game. So I'm not going to criticize the substitution of Hector coming on. But if you're bringing on a Damian Lowe for Demari Gray, that automatically instills a psychological effect to the rest of the team saying, okay, we're either comfortable with what the scoreline is now, which was 0-0 at the time, or we're going to try and ride out this defensive performance and then just try and push for maybe nick a result, maybe stick with this 0-0. So that doesn't send the right message through to the rest of the team, and you could see it with how Jamaica continued to react post-conceding. Jamaica didn't really create many chances after that, after a pretty promising start to the second half. So I think that Coach Hallgrimson really sent the wrong message to the rest of the team with that substitution, and it was almost poetic that as soon as he made that negative substitution, Jamaica conceded 1 minute afterwards.
Yeah, and you spoke about Damian Lowe, and this was a question that a lot of people had at the press conference, so Coach, about, well, in your preview to the match, I was not here, but of course I watched it back. You spoke about the fact that you felt Damian Lowe would have a massive impact in the midfield for the team. Coach, of course, gave us his explanation as to why Damian Lowe was not included, missing the practice and the preparation and all that. But you, if you were coach, knowing what Damian Lowe is capable of, would you have started Damian Lowe? And are you pleased with the manner in which he utilized him?
I mean, it's sticky. I'm not going to go over any coach that says that they think that a player isn't ready, because, mind you, he said that he wasn't training for 2 days prior.
Yeah.
But the one player that I would like to point out would maybe be like a Karoy Anderson. Jamaica played with 4 central midfielders throughout the 90 minutes. It was Casey Palmer, Damian Lowe. They brought on Bobby Reid starting as the captain in central midfield as well. And then towards the end, they pushed up Latimer there into central midfield. 3 of those players are not natural central midfielders. So what message does that send out to someone like Karoy Anderson, who has come into the squad from an England-born player and is not getting minutes as opposed to those players? So, and I think not having a natural central midfielder didn't help Jamaica when they were trying to progress the ball, when they were trying to build up. And if we were to look at the goal that they conceded now, there's a really important point that I would like to make about the protection in front of the back 5 that Jamaica fielded on that day. So if we're going to get the Mexico goal right now, so Mexico, they took 20 shots, yes, and I think the Jamaica team did pretty well to repel anything that came into the box. But once the ball came right outside the box here, if you look at the D, or right outside of the D, within the width of the 6-yard area, right, Mexico took 5 of their 20 shots right there. 4 of those 5 shots were their highest XG, which is the probability of a goal going in, their highest XG chances on the day. So it's clear to see that Mexico were getting a lot of chances, those second ball chances, once the ball was cleared from the Jamaican back line. Because Jamaica didn't have a natural defensive central midfielder in there, because it was Bobby Reid or Damian Lowe, who is normally a centre-back who's going to chase after the ball, or Casey Palmer, who's normally a attacking midfielder, he doesn't really cover those areas well. So Mexico had free reign. Yes, those aren't the highest XG chances in the world, but once you have talented ball strikers getting the ball on top of the box in those areas, it's always going to cause a team problems. And Mexico were able to create that opportunity time and time again, overload those areas, and that's exactly where the goal come from. And it was no surprise to me, in the end, that's where it came from as well.
Yeah, when you previewed the game on Friday, you suggested that if you were the coach, or if you had a strategic plan to implement for this game, you would be braver than you think Hallgrimson would have been. We saw young Kaheem Dixon coming on late in the second half and looking threatening and looking comfortable at that level. Given how the game turned out, would you say that Hallgrimson wasn't as brave in his team strategy as you would have wanted him to be?
Completely, Sir Lance. And you hit the nail on the head. It's not necessarily that I would have started Kaheem Dixon, not necessarily that I would have started Ronaldo Cephas either, but Jamaica had 0 transitional threat. I understand the fact that Damian Lowe is out, you want to play Bobby Reid in the midfield, but then you have to play an attacker in that front 3 that has speed. Demari Gray is coming off of an injury. You then play Shamar Nicholson and Mikel Antonio up top, Shamar Nicholson out of position on the right. He's not going to carry the ball. He's a 6'4" striker. He's not going to carry the ball like any of those other attacking players would. And both of those players didn't have a good game in terms of holding the ball up and winning their aerial duels. Actually, between them, they only won 32% of their aerial duels on the night. So I don't think that Jamaica offered no transitional threat, and that created a pretty lopsided game in terms of what they were trying to offer in attack. And Sir Lance, I'll ask you also. I'll ask all of you, actually. I'm not saying this to lump on any serious pressure on Hal Grimson for him to go. But we've all been watching the Reggae Boyz for quite some time. And if you rewind back maybe to 2016, you see a Tapper team, you see a Schaefer team, and you say, all right, Jamaica played a team that probably reeling, probably a team that's better than us, but we could beat them. At the end of the 90 minutes, Jamaica didn't really create much, maybe just a one little glimpse. They held out well, they defended the box well, quote unquote, but in the end, they conceded a one goal. They probably should have conceded like 2 or 3. The keeper made 8 saves, but Jamaica, in the end, the narrative is going to be that Jamaica only lost 1-0, and it's a positive result, it's a fighting result. I know you guys love music. I listen to Whitney Houston. I listen to a little bit of Deborah Cox. That's the same script, a different cast, because that's the exact same thing that we have been seeing from the Reggae Boyz for quite some time now. And personally, I'm not going to throw my hat out and give plaudits to a team that is out there just working hard. I would like to see a better implemented game plan for Jamaica to go out there and win games, as opposed to not going out there and losing games.
Yeah, well, Asia, of course, we always enjoy when you join us on set.
We do?
Jamaica, well, I do.
Okay.
We play Ecuador next. Jamaica play Ecuador next. So looking forward to see how coach goes about that. Thank you so much.
I hope we invite Lige again so we can answer that question that he just asked, because it's a very important discussion to have.
Yeah, looking forward to that. But my producer, the lady in the chair, she's the boss, and she says it's break time. So break time.